Josh Green here for Seconds Out. Delighted to be joined by Stephen Robinson. How are we doing, mate? You all good?
Good mate, how are you? You good?
Yeah, really good, mate. We're a few days on now from the biggest fight in boxing. Waited 25 years for undisputed Fury versus Usyk. I'm sure you were one of many to sit down and watch it. How were the emotions during that one?
It was a fantastic show. It was I mean the atmosphere and stuff was was remarkable. It was a great fight for anyone who's watching, whether you're a boxing fan or not. You've got to appreciate how much we're giving that ring, and that will leave everything on the line in there. And them two showed that they were warriors and fantastic.
You obviously spent time in the camp. I mean, was this how you expected the fight to go? Did it play out how in your mind you thought it might go?
Um, it's funny because I was on the local radio station the night before, and people were ringing, and I says, "Listen, if you're gambling men, or women, put it on a draw." I says because the way that they go, and the way that they both fight, and for money value, I thought a draw would be a perfect, because that would mean there'd have to be a second and a third fight. Second in October, and then a third, the rematch clause. So I knew it was going to be a close fight. I knew the way they both were prepared. Fury was the best and leanest he had looked in a long time, since the Klitschko fight. And I know he knows exactly what he had to, or how he had to feel. But I think the rematch, I think he'll come in heavier, and I think he'll change his tactics massively, which he done against Wilder. He totally changed his tactics in Wilder 2, and then changed them again in Wilder 3. So the man knows exactly what he needs to do, and I think he'll go away and do that. And Usyk, Usyk's just Usyk. He prepares how he needs to prepare, and I mean the man does 15 5-minute rounds. There's no fitter than him. For me, he's the fittest. I'd like to see him go pretty much toe to toe with any of the middleweights out there. For fitness and for punch output, and he's got and everyone obviously calls him a pumped up middleweight and little man and light heavyweight, and to think that he was a light heavyweight back in his amateur days, to then boxing at cruiserweight, to then stepping up to heavyweight and still doing it against the one of the heaviest hitters in the division, Anthony Joshua, and to dance around him, and then to go and do it against Tyson Fury. Just, people don't give him the credit he deserves. And I think now, after watching that, I think he'll get a lot more credit than he's been getting. And I think people thought, after the Bellew and the Chisora, and then obviously Joshua, I think people thought, well, what's he really done when he comes against Tyson? I think Tyson, 70% of the punters that I know and that I had seen were thinking Tyson were going to win, and it was a close fight. It was a fantastic fight.
It's interesting what you mentioned there about people sort of referring to Usyk as a blown up middleweight. And obviously, comments from Tyson's camp, and Tyson was very outspoken, calling him little middleweight, and he makes those sort of comments in the lead up. Now you look at it, and he's obviously taken the loss against Usyk. I mean, how's that going to hurt him, do you think?
I don't think it will. I don't think it'll. I think he's got the mindset of, it is what it is. It's life. He's very religious, and in his head that'll be God's path for him, and the redemption will be made, and no doubt he'll be sitting reading the book of Genesis and reading about redemption, and that's just his mentality of, okay, it's happened, but now I need to go and fix it. And I like Usyk. He's one of the fittest heavyweights there is. So, and that's regardless of whether he's 18 stone, 19 stone, 20 stone, and I think this time he'll take the fight to Usyk. This fight, I think he went on the back foot a little bit too much, which I think played into Usyk's hands, which is what Anthony done. Usyk needs bullied, but at the same time, it's all good from the outside. Somebody that knows nothing about boxing saying, "Oh, they just need to go in and lean on him and grab him." The man is honestly like, and you're talking to somebody that's fought over 200 rounds with a bloke. I've been on 3 camps. I know exactly how hard it is to pin him down. I know exactly how hard it is to lean on him and grab him, because he's in front of you and you think you're there, and then he's to the right of you and you think you pivot, and then he's to the left of you, and it's phenomenal, and people who don't appreciate boxing and only watch it from an aspect of it's 2 heavyweights, they're going to get knocked out, and to watch it as a connoisseur of boxing, and to watch it from a perspective of analysing it, it was phenomenal, like phenomenal. And Usyk hits you with just these little tipper-tapper shots, and it's just like, and then he hides a whip, he hides a big left hook in, or a big overhand left, and before you know it, then 4 or 5 have got your brain scrambled a little bit, and then he just whips one in, and you're just like, he's just so quick, and he's just a perfectionist of the sport, and it's phenomenal to be watching, and it's an honour to have even been involved in that camp. But at the same time, I wanted Tyson to bring the belts back to the UK, but I'm obviously I'm buzzing for Usyk in his team, because I've seen how hard he worked and how much went into his work, and then the fight got pulled and he was straight back in camp. There wasn't any, like he said in his post fight interview, it's been 8 months, and it has. I've seen how hard he's worked, and I've seen what he goes through and what he puts his body through. So you have to take your hat off. And this is what annoys us with people from the outside that know fuck all about boxing. They're sitting saying Fury's shit, Fury's this. Look at what the bloke's done. Look at where the bloke's mentally been and what he's come back from. And these people who have no idea what it's like to even step in that ring, and never mind at that standard, and they're sitting on social media and they're just trolling him. They're calling his wife, and they're calling his kids, and they're calling his dad. And yes, John deserves a bit of flack for what he done, but it's just constant, man. And I've realised that comes with the sport. It comes with any sort of, when you're at a level of the game, whether you be a singer, whether you be an actor, an actress, a dancer, or whatever you may be, you get shit, and unfortunately, that's just the world we live in.
You say about Big John getting some flack there. He was obviously one of a number of men in the corner for Tyson on the night. Andy Lee, and now obviously Sugar Hill as well. You've got those respected trainers in Sugar Hill and Andy Lee that have achieved a lot in the sport. I mean, Big John's caught a lot of flack for sort of, I guess, shouting down and overriding maybe what they were saying. Can you understand that?
Definitely. I mean, I think one of the only successful father and son relationships and partnerships have been the Calzaghes, and Enzo and Joe. They had a connection, but a lot of Ricky Hatton lays it down perfectly. I couldn't train Campbell, and there's so many out there, and Connor started early with his dad, and there's a lot of there's the Bens, there's the Eubanks, and you start off with your father, but it's a different connection in there. When the love you have for your father and is like no other, and the respect you have for your father is like no other. If my coach was to sit and tell us off, I'd hold my hands up if my dad was to sit and tell us off. I'd look at him and tell him to fuck off, because it's the it's the banter you have, and it's a very different relationship with as a father than you have as a coach, and it's not it's a very rare thing, and I think John was probably upset and wanted to step in, but as you say, you've got to respectfully leave that to the best at the game, and Andy Lee and Sugar Hill. But even their information, they were telling him he was winning, and all he needed to do was, keep it comfortable, keep it long, keep doing what he was doing. So it's crazy how you can perceive events, because you've got people who said Fury won comfortably. You've got people saying Usyk won comfortably. He got punched all over. And listen, everybody sees things different. And no, the two judges seen it very different to a third judge, and then one judge had it, wide. One judge had it close. One judge had it a Fury. So yes, there's definitely outliners, and there's cheating in the sport, which we're seeing with Taylor and Catwell, which obviously good rematch on the weekend. But these things happen. But whereas that one, me as a spectator, I think the third judge that had at one point, I think that was a fair result. I could have. I think I had Usyk. I give Usyk 1, 2, and 3. I give Fury 4, 5, and 6. I give 7 a draw. 8 and 9, obviously, I gave as Usyk. 10, I think he come back and won. And then I give 11 a draw, and I give 12 to Fury. So I had it one round up with the knockdown as well to Usyk. So it wasn't as wide as people are saying on social media, but that's from my perspective. You probably had it very different. I've got people who have messaged me saying Fury won comfortably. What was the referee watching? And like I say, everybody's different. Two people could be in the same room at the same time and have a very, very different perspective on what actually happened. And this is where Chinese whispers comes from. Two people have a very different perception on what happened, and we're seeing that obviously. At the weekend, there's so many people out there who. What do you think? What? How did you have it?
I had it 115, 112. So I had Tyson 4-2 up. And then I gave Usyk the next 5, including the knockdown, gave Tyson the last one. So
you'll give Usyk 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9.
Not 5. No. I gave him 1. I think it was 1 and 3.
1 and 3.
7 through to 11.
7 to 11. Yeah. 7 to 11. I give 7 a draw, and I give 11 a draw. This is what I'm saying. It could have went either way. It could have been bent either way. I had them written down when I was watching as a draw. But if I rewatch it, I might say, yeah, Usyk did win, or I might say, actually, I thought Tyson pinched her. As I say, what eyes are crazy, and what you're watching, and what you're looking for, and what the judges are looking for. So, I think it was very similar to Fraser and Fabio. People were sitting on the fence with them too. Well, I think Fraser won. Fraser got knocked down, and so Fabio must have won. People who don't know boxing, they think that because someone's been knocked down that they must lose, but it goes so much deeper than what, as I say, what a punter who doesn't really understand.
Would you expect to see? I know we sort of touched on it there, but would you expect to see John Fury in the corner for the rematch?
I don't know if there'll be a rematch. I think Fury sees more money, and I think he's at the point of his life now where he will be happy to have a couple more fights, and I can see one of them being with Joshua for money. I think that would sell out a 90,000 seat at Wembley, comfortably. Whether it be in this country or Saudi, I think he knows what he can bring to the sport, and the things like wrestling and stuff, and getting into that side of the game for Tyson. I think Tyson's done what he's needed to do. When he come back from his mental health and beat Deontay Wilder and dethroned him, well, got the draw first and then dethroned him with that title. He's he's winning at life every day. He wakes up and he gets to see his wife and see his kids and be able to take them to the park and play with them, and he's already completing life to where the man should be dead. He was 30 stone, severely cocaine addict and a severe alcoholic, and you've got people who have one pill and drop down dead. So the man's blessed to be alive today, and I think he's just appreciative of everything he's got in the world, and I personally can't say there being a rematch. So that he may come back and think, no, fuck it, my pride's I'm not having some little middleweight take my belts, and he might say, nah, I'm coming back for this, but if he wins and becomes, he gets all their belts, what's next?
I think he has triggered the rematch as of about an hour ago. So as far as we can see from that,
okay, fair play. So that's October 12th.
Yeah, mid-October. I don't think there's a date.
Fair enough then. Fair play. Then if he's done that, then that's. But obviously, you've got Devon Hergovich fighting June the 1st, and they're then mandatory for the IBF. So when there's so many mandatories out there, and I think Puabacoli's been mandatory for about a year, for something, and so once the belts, I think the belts are soon gonna have to get divided out again. I mean, Usyk's 37, I think, and Fury's 36, soon coming up to 37, if I'm right. But how long we got left in the sport? 2 years maybe. But the way Usyk lives his life, I think he could go over another 4 or 5 years. I genuinely do. I think you look at him now and watched him the other day, and you look at some 37-year-olds and they can't even, they cannot walk down the street, and then you look at him and he's bouncing around the ring for 15 5-minute rounds. The man, it's unbelievable. So yeah, it'll be very interesting to see whether that rematch happens and how Tyson Fury changes his game plan. Does he come in heavier? Does he? Because I thought he had him. I thought he had him beaten the 6th. Usyk was breathing heavy in the corner. He was hurt. I thought the 7th. I thought he was going to come. I thought Tyson was going to come out and obliterate Usyk. I thought it was going to be stopping the 7th. I genuinely did after the 6th round and seeing he's breathing. But that just shows that just shows the credit to Usyk, the way and then to bounce back the 8th and the 9th and do what he done after the 4th, 5th, and 6th. It's crazy.
Let's reflect on yourself and your last outing against Alan Babic 6-7 weeks ago or so now on from the fight. How do you reflect on it?
Listen, there's no reflection. You can see from the first round, I hadn't trained. I'd been ill leading up to training. And listen, one thing with me is I'll never ever make up an excuse, but it is what it is. The fight had to be taken. I had sparring up, and 2 weeks before I had took a bad chest infection, and it wiped us out. And from the first round, I was gone. I was exhausted, and I couldn't breathe properly. I couldn't hoy anything. I was tired, and I thought I'd be okay because I had a good 10-week camp. 8 weeks before I got the chest infection, I was fine. I was great. I was flying. So I thought, well, I'm fit. So these 2 weeks of not training aren't going to do anything to it. But they obviously did. And there's unless you've got a baseball bat and a machete, I'm not coming out that ring. And that was I knew that I would have had to go on points. And then the doctor had said to the referee in the 5th round, he had said, if his eye gets any worse, I want you to stop it. And then in the 6th, I'd said to Jumbo, the cutman, I said, don't put adrenaline in it because I don't want to, because it'll just coagulate. And obviously, so he says, okay, we'll leave it. And obviously, it had fully split open, and it had obviously getting fatter than what the referee liked. So fair play to the referee, and he done what he had to do. And I was disappointed. I was gutted because obviously, I definitely would have lost on points, but I would have rather have lost on points, and I was definitely going the 10 rounds. I wouldn't have. One thing with me is I'm never unless I'm asleep on the canvas, I'll be there until the end. So hats off to Babic. I thought he would tire out in the 4th, the 5th. I thought I had a tactic of let's just rope-a-dope him, let him hit us and tire out, and then we can. But he just kept coming and kept coming and kept coming and kept coming. And I seen yesterday there's a possibility of him and Johnny Fisher, and I look forward to that. I think that's a good fight for both. It's a massive step up for Johnny Fisher. But it's he beats Allen, and it puts him right up there. And if he gets beat off Allen, it doesn't drop him too far because he's young and he's a good kid in the sport. He's a good talent, and I think it's a fair play to them both for accepting it. And this is the thing people don't realize. We don't have to accept these fights, but we do. And you, as I say, you get these people jump on social media slating were, and that have no idea what it's like to be in the ring. And as I say, and anybody who steps through them ropes, male or female, any level, I take my hat off to them because it's not a nice thing.
Well, Stephen, really appreciate your time, mate. Always good to catch up with you and hear your thoughts on all things boxing. And hopefully, you're back in the gym now. We'll see you out soon.
Yeah, that's the idea. We'll just go again. We'll wait for the phone to ring. We'll get off at something and we'll go again. There's no man in the world I would turn down from. So let's see who's next.
Good man.